Hey guys, it's Dr. Debbie Pates. I was having a little bit of technical difficulty, so I'm just getting started here right now. Give me one moment and we will get started. So about 2 minutes and we'll get going. All right. Sorry about the slightly delayed start. I'm Dr. Debbie Pates. I am a psychologist at the University of Colorado Springs Wellness Center, and this is a joint production of the Wellness Center and the Gallery of Contemporary Arts, which is also located on campus. Since we're getting started a little bit late, without further ado, why don't we begin and do some yoga? I think you can see my mat. Come on into child's pose. Bring your knees either wide or together and start to breathe deeply and consciously, if possible, through your nose, allowing your head to rest on the ground. If your knees are together, maybe you bring your hands alongside your body, palms facing up. That can feel really nice, rounding your shoulders, opening up through the back of your heart. Your knees are wide. You might have your arms reaching out in front of you. Wherever you are, it's creating a space for your yoga practice. You came to your mat, so now show up on your mat for yourself. Put this time in the middle of your day on your calendar. So give this time to yourself, right? If you right now feel like there's something else you should be doing, then, there's not even the embarrassment of rolling up your mat in front of the whole class and leaving. But if you're not going to roll up your mat and leave, then show up. Not for me. I don't even know if you guys are out there. But show up for yourself. Start to move. Show up for yourself now. Practicing doing that so that you can show up for yourself in the rest of your life. Hands and knees. And let's do some cat-cows or other movements. So line up your joints, hands underneath your shoulders, knees under your hips, about hip-width distance there. And then maybe you inhale, drop your stomach, lift your tailbone and your gaze, and exhale, rounding, reversing, tucking your chin like a cat. Exhaling in this position and then inhaling, reversing. And if there's other breathing patterns that call to you, if there are other movements that call to you, go ahead and add those. All right, so what I say are just suggestions. You can take all of the suggestions or you can try them on and reject them, or outright reject them if you know there's something you'd rather do. And all of that is okay. All right, just figuring it out. Come to neutral spine. And just be in neutral spine for a moment. Readjust if you need to, but really feel how, even in this hands and knees position, it can be very strong. Have your head in line with your spine. I hope mine is. I'm not telling you to do something I'm not even doing. Have your head in line with your spine. Engage your stomach muscle. Pull your belly button in toward your spine. Notice how your shoulders can come on your back. You can even engage your back muscles. And then with all of this engagement, see if at the same time you can lift your right arm and left leg out behind you. Right arm in front of you, left leg behind you. And maybe when we start with all that engagement, you don't dip quite as much when we come into the posture. Put your arm and your leg down. Re-engage, navel to spine, shoulders on your back, all of that. So it's kind of hard, even though it doesn't look like much. And then with breath, lift your left arm and your right leg and reach out. And see if you didn't have that dip that sometimes happens when we then lift and then we re-engage after the lift. Reach your fingers away from your toes, reach, put it all down. And come on into downward facing dog. So walk your hands a little bit forward probably. Actually walk your hands forward. Come into high plank first, high plank position, upward push up. And then without moving your hands or your feet, push into your hands and send your hips up to the sky. Let your heels sink down toward the ground. Push your hands firmly into the ground. Keep that engagement, navel coming towards spine. Keep your breath flowing deeply and steadily. And then take a bunch of baby steps. Walk to the top of your mat and hang in ragdoll. So your knees are probably a little bit bent for most of us. That's more comfortable and actually going to help release more than keeping our legs straight. But if you are comfortable keeping your legs straight, go ahead and do that. Just be sure not to hyperextend, pushing your knees out and kind of bending your legs in the wrong direction. Maybe find some sway here. Noticing how, as you move your upper body back and forth, the weight shifts in your feet. It's not good or bad, it just is. Right? So noticing the things that we attach judgment to and the things that we are able to simply perceive as neutral. And I don't know what those things are for you. Most people have some common hot button issues, but probably weight shifting side to side in your feet isn't one, so just notice that. And then if you've been swaying side to side, come back to center and roll a bit back and forth. Experimenting with being brave enough to lift up your heels, lift up your toes, noticing how that changes our center of balance and maybe gives you a little fear. You might even lose your balance. Come on back to neutral, and then before our heads pop from all this blood coming into them, soften your knees for sure and roll up to standing. Take it slow. We've been hanging upside down for a minute, so you might get a head rush. If you get a head rush, just kind of keep your gaze on the ground until your blood kind of goes back to where the blood is supposed to be. And then let's move into a couple of stretches and some sun salutations. Side stretch, inhale your arms up. And staple your hands. Interlace all of your fingers except for your pointer fingers. Let's try it this way. So I got this going on if you can't see my hands. And then exhale to the right. Pull. If you don't like this one, do one of the other ones we do more often. Pull your arms to the right. Maybe push your hips to the left. Keep your breath going. Inhale up and switch sides. Inhale center and then pull your hands to the left as you push your hips to the right. Getting some movement, getting some opening. And then keep your hands interlaced and start to make some circles. So going in one direction, almost as if you're trying to make a circle along the ceiling with your hands. And just notice what's coming up. It's a little bit different and it might be a little bit challenging. And then switch directions. Breathe. Keep your breath going. Notice how perhaps as you do something different and challenging, it's very natural to have a tendency to hold the breath a little bit. And then come on back to the center and just allow your hands to float down by your sides. And then bring your hands up to your heart. Press your thumbs into your sternum. Re-engage your stomach muscles. Maybe lift your kneecaps, engage your quadriceps. And I invite you to just pause. We're going to do a little bit of meditation at the end if we have time. But start right now, just pause. Just create space for the breath. Create space for stillness. In that space, sometimes things come up. You might notice a fear or a sadness or maybe even a joy that's been hiding around the corner, hiding behind the corner, and just allow it, just acknowledge it. If the tears need to flow, go ahead and let them flow, it's all right. And if you're with me and you want to move on, take that stillness and take that space and let's broaden it and create a flow to the top of your mat if you're not there already. Frown, hands at your heart. Inhale your arms up. You can just shoot them straight up if you want. And then Uttanasana, forward fold through heart center or swan dive. We're going to do it slowly. Same movements, but slow. Hands to your shins. Lift up halfway. Pause. Lengthen the crown of your head forward. Lengthen your tailbone back. Bring your shoulder blades onto your back. So maybe even bring your hands onto your thighs. And really roll your shoulders up and down and squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then perhaps trying to keep that engagement of your shoulders, slide your hands down your legs and see how far they can go. And if you want to release the engagement a little bit, go ahead. Maybe lengthen a little bit more and then exhale. Fold back down. Sweep your arms out with a flat back. Rise as if you're moving through water. So going a little bit more slowly than normal. Bring your hands together. Overhead and pull the energy back, heart center. Inhale your arms up. Same speed-ish, but moving on, fold, fold. No hurry at all. Halfway lift. This time, put your hands down and step back to high plank. And from high plank, just hold here. So if you want to drop your knees. Notice where your shoulders are on your back. Notice whether your heels are just hanging out or pushing forward or pushing back. Notice where your stomach is. Just notice. Notice where your neck, your gaze. Just notice. Bring awareness. And then lowering slowly all the way down to the ground. Keep your elbows in by your side. And we're going to do cobra to start with. So roll your shoulders up and back and down. Bring your feet together. And you might even kind of roll your quadriceps in a little bit. So almost like you're trying to turn your inner thighs up, even though you're on the ground. And if that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. And then on and inhale, keeping your feet down. Lift your head, lift your shoulders, Lift whatever you can. You can even lift your hands and really use your upper back muscles. Well, I guess it's all your back muscles. Breathe. Notice the tension coming in your feet and try to relax your lower body. And then exhale down. Bring your chin or your forehead to the mat and pause. Re-engage your shoulders. Take a breath, inhaling, exhaling, and then on an inhale, lift again. You want to put weight in your hands, you want to take weight out of your hands, you want to slide your hands back a little bit, and then come on back down. And then this time, I invite you, if you want, to put weight in your hands. So shoulders up, back, and down, elbows squeezing in, and then on an inhale, push into your hands. Kind of push and drag back. So you're pulling out of your low back. Maybe keep your chin towards your chest. You don't have to exaggerate the movement, but just keep your head down rather than looking up. Keep your elbows in by your side. Really roll your shoulders up and back and down. Sometimes people say broaden your collarbone. And then all the way down, push into child's pose, or kind of an extended child's pose. So your arms are still kind of long and lifted, forehead on the ground. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. And take a few breaths. And down dog. Allowing whatever is showing up for you to show up. So if just feel what you feel. I don't even want to suggest what you might be feeling. But even if it's something like, oh God, Debbie's so annoying today, why did I even do this? Okay, fine. Let it show up. And if I'm not too annoying and you're going to stay with the practice, then let it pass. You don't have to fixate on it. Just let it pass. Look in between your hands and make your way to the top of your mat. Halfway, lift, lengthen, exhale, forward fold. Sweep your arms out and rise up with a strong stomach and a flat back. Hands together overhead and pull your energy into your heart. Inhale your arms up. And we're going to twist right from here. So try to keep your hips pointing forward and bring your right arm back behind you and your left arm in front of you. Really opening up through your chest, through your upper body, maybe even looking back at your right thumb, and then inhale up, and exhale, same thing. So your right arm almost stays in a position, or I don't know what I'm talking about. Bring your left hand back behind you. Readjust your hips, right? So you're really trying to keep your hips square as you try to breathe, and look back at your left thumb. Inhale your arms up, right arm sweeps forward, joins the left. I think that's what I meant. I meant left arm. And then cactus your arms. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Open your heart. Inhale your arms up and dive forward. We'll revisit that twist in a bit. Halfway lift. Fold. Step back. High plank. This time, low plank or all the way to the ground. Your choice, but elbows stay in. Up. Dog. Or cobra, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. Maybe even if you want, come down on your left elbow, forearm. Look up under your right armpit. Circles if you want, or static if you want. Come on back up and swing your right foot all the way through. Drop your left knee, untuck your left toes, come on into crescent moon. So sink into your right knee. Open up the back, the front of your left leg, your hip flexor there. Breathe into the sensation. Bring your hands down and shift your hips back. Half splits. Ardha Hanumanasana. Flex your right foot and walk your fingertips towards your right foot. Push as if you're almost pushing in an accelerator. Your the ball of your big toe side, really pushing and maybe even pulling your pinky toe back a little bit. And then shift forward, bend into your knee, and come on up. Inhale. Exhale, hands down, and shift back. And on your own a few times. Inhaling forward and up. You might need to add more breath, who cares? And then coming down, shifting back. One more time. Inhale forward and up. And then this time, bring your hands down. Tuck your left toes. Lift your left knee. And step back into high plank. You can go right into down dog or take a vinyasa. Downward facing dog. Sink some weight into your right heel and lift your left leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. Again, if you want, drop your right elbow here and forearm. Let your left knee open. You can make circles if you'd like. Just try to let it feel good. And come on back up. And bring your left leg through. Same thing. Low lunge, drop your right knee, untuck your right toes. And let's get a juicy crescent lunge. A juicy hip flexor opening. Juicy breath is what's lubricating all of these postures. Right? So when something becomes unbearable, rather than gritting your teeth, hopefully this isn't unbearable, but gritting your teeth and holding your breath, breathe. Hands down, shift back. Flex your left toes. Push through the ball of your foot right underneath your big toe. Walk your hands toward your heel. Pull your pinky toe back, especially. And send the breath. Send the breath in wherever the breath needs to go or is gonna go. Just breathe, right? Don't get too caught up in the words. If the words feel hokey to you or ridiculous or whatever, just remember to breathe. Shift forward and rise up, and you know where we're going, so take a few of these on your own in your own time. Forward and back with breath. Almost like a dance, and the breath is the leader. Make your way back up, crescent moon, and then bring your hands down. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, high plank. And again, your choice. You can lift your hips straight into down dog or some version of the vinyasa. And look in between your hands and make your way to the top of your space. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Sweep your arms open like a giant bird. Spread your wingspan up to the sky. Bring your hands. Bring some of that beautiful celestial energy right back into your heart. Inhale your arms up. Utkatasana, chair. Clasp your hands behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then dive forward, allowing your legs to come towards straight, your hands to come off your back, your head to be heavy. Maybe even close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. Release your hands. Halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, put your hands down and step back to high plank. Lower halfway or all the way, upward facing dog or cobra. And then downward facing dog. Breath in, breath out. Lift your right leg up. Bend your knee and bring it through to crescent. Have your heel and knee lined up and then keep your back knee up and rise into crescent lunge. You can put your back knee down if you want. We're going to do that twist again. So maybe this time bring your hands together and bring your hands to your heart. And then send your left arm just kind of straight out in front of you as you open up, almost like an archer, pulling back the bow, bringing your right arm back behind you. And maybe you want to bend your knee and take a little bit of tension out of your back by evening out your pelvis. Come on back, bring your right hand to meet your left, bring your hands back into your heart, lift your arms up, and then open up to warrior two. Straighten both your legs and just readjust if you need to for a minute there. Opening up your right knee towards your right pinky toes. Flip your palm, reverse your warrior. Reach up and back with your hand as you allow your knee to come forward. And then take it down. High plank. Maintaining that deliberateness of movement. Hold high plank. Breathe, inhale and exhale. Even if your breath is speeding up, sometimes moving slowly can actually be harder than moving quickly. Even if your breath is speeding up, just breathe. Try to maintain a non-reactive stance, chaturanga or the floor, up dog or cobra, downward facing dog. Ah. Lift your left leg up. Low lunge, knee and heel line up. So sometimes you got to use your hands to shove your foot up a little bit. Who cares? Rise into crescent. So that was a little tweaky on my low back. So I'm going to really deliberately bend my back knee a bit here. Crescent your right arm, your hands reach up. Bring your palms together and bring your hands to your heart. And then as you shoot your right arm out in front of you, draw your left arm back. Maybe gaze at your left thumb. And breathe. It's a different put in our body, which comes with some different challenges. So what? Let it be. You can do it. Right arm back to meet your left. Arms up, warrior two. And then from warrior two, left knee tracking out, flip your left palm, reverse warrior. Right arm coming down on your right leg somewhere. Some people like to slither their arm behind their back. But don't let the right arm be a distractor from what's going on with the left knee and the left hand. Inhale down. And you can go to high plank or just step right back into down dog. From high plank, you would take the vinyasa. And come back to meet the people in downward facing dog who didn't want to take the vinyasa. Drop your knees. And walk a little bit forward if you need to. Separate your feet. You might want to walk to the top of your mat. Separate your feet and sit in between. Hero's pose, Virasana. So right now, if this is a lot for you, you could sit on a block. Breathe. And as you know, if this is not a whole lot for you at all, and you need more sensation, you can begin to walk your hands back behind you. Maybe all the way down onto your back. Keep your knees on the ground. Your knees can separate, but please don't allow your knees to lift up off the ground. Breathe. If your laying on your back. Maybe you bring your arms on the floor overhead, clasp opposite elbow. Breathe into this. Allow the time that we're going to spend in this posture to help you soften into it, to help you become less resistant to it. You can get out of it if you need to. You can come up to a less intense version, right? So notice whether you took it too far for your own body, and that's creating some of the resistance. And that's not a blame. That's a hey, just become aware of these things, you know. Sometimes we choose to do hard things. Sometimes we choose to push ourselves. Sometimes we have to do hard things and push ourselves beyond our comfort zone because that's what we need to do because of our job or because of our lives or, you know, the situation, whatever. Sometimes you need to reach out to a friend who's in need, but you're afraid. Or you know it's going to be really heavy. So we need to do those things. But sometimes we push it further than we need to, and we make ourselves uncomfortable, we make ourselves miserable. So part of what we can do in our yoga practice is begin to become aware of which is which, when we're doing what. Start to come on out of this if you haven't already. So come up and make your way to your hands and knees. Breathing as you do that, so the transition is part of your practice as well. Shake out your legs, your knees release. And then come back onto your hands and knees. And right hand and right knee stay down. Come into a modified version of side plank. Lift your left arm up. Make your neck happy here. So a lot of times, this posture is taught, look up at your hand. And you might look up at your hand for a moment and see if your hand is straight above your face. And then you might stay there. But if that hurts your neck, then don't do that. Don't stay in that position. You may stay here, or you might choose to lift up your left leg. And then if you want, you can bend your left knee and reach back with your left hand and open. So a modified plank bow variation. Kick into your hand and open up your shoulder. Feel the thigh engagement here. And then release. Come back to that side plank for a moment. And then come on back down, hands and knees. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. The right leg extends out behind you, left knee and left hand stay on the ground, and lift your right arm up. So look up at your right hand to see if your hand is right above your face, and if that feels okay, then keep your hand there, your neck there rather, and your hand there. You can move that around if this doesn't feel good too. And then if you want, lift up your right leg. And then if you want, bend your right knee, half bow, your upper body. Allowing the kick to open up the front of your thigh. Maybe similar feeling to when we did the crescent moon, but a different version. So just awareness to the differences and the similarities without judging. Opening your shoulder. And releasing one more time. Arm up, leg up. Put it all down. And take a cat-cow wiggle just to let it go. And from this position, come into puppy dog pose, Anahatasana. So you might walk your hands a little bit forward and place your forehead on the mat. It's an extended child's pose. Your upper body is a lot more active here. You can even squeeze your elbows toward each other a little bit if you want. Opening your heart. Heart opening. Without a back bend. A heart opener. The needle. Bring your right hand underneath, your left hand, underneath your right armpit, or other side, it doesn't matter, it's going to be one or the other. If your left hand is going under your right armpit, bring your left ear to the mat. And shift around and find where you're going to get the best stretch here for the top of your left shoulder. Some people like to move their right hand in a bit, or even come to a prayer position with your hands. Breathe. Come back to center and switch sides. Slide your right or opposite hand underneath your left armpit. Bring that ear to the mat. Come onto the top of your right shoulder and find the most delicious stretch you can here. So whatever you need to do, whatever your body is asking of you in this stretch, answer it. Give it to your body. Why not? Think about all that your body gives you without even complaining. And you might say, oh yeah, my body complains. Think about what it gives you all the time anyway. Focus on those complaints because they tend to be the loudest. But what about all those places that aren't complaining? Come back to center. And just for a moment, you can be in some version of Anahatasana. Rock your forehead left to right, massaging your head, your forehead, maybe even coming up a little further on the crown of your head, prefrontal cortex underneath here, your executive functioning brain, giving it a little bit of skeletal love. No idea if your brain can actually feel this, but what the heck. And then extend your hands forward, tuck your toes under, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up, bring it through low lunge, spin your left foot flat, your back foot, and rise up into warrior one. Clasp your hands behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. And bow, humble warrior. My screen just went black. I hope you guys can see me. Right shoulder to the inside of your right knee. Bring your right hip in, a drop if it's come out really far. And then rise back up. Open up warrior two. Straighten your right knee, and without too much time, reach forward and take triangle. So maybe you take your right rib cage and roll it under a little bit. Reach the crown of your head forward, right arm down. Left arm up, that same thing if it is okay for your neck, looking up even just for a moment. At your hand to see if it's reaching straight up. Breathe. And come on up. Rebend your right knee. Reach forward again and take extended side angle. So just noticing the difference. Real similar posture. Main difference is your knee is bent in one and not in the other. And then turn your torso down toward the ground. Runner's lunge. Drop your back knee, toe heel your right foot up toward the top of the mat. And bring your arms to the inside. And come on down to whatever degree is available to your body today. Use your breath. Even if you don't use your breath for anything than to breathe, use your breath. I always used to save stuff, right? Like I'd get a fancy new shirt. Or maybe it wasn't even that fancy, right? But it was like a shirt I really liked a lot. And I would save it. And I was never quite sure what I was saving it for, but I was saving it for something special. And then, what would happen is I wouldn't end up ever wearing it. So use it. Use the stuff you have. Friends of mine lost their house completely in the Waldo Canyon fire. And they're such huge proponents of like, what's your grandma's china doing in the closet, just staying there forever? Use it. So use your breath. Maybe you use it to deepen this posture. Maybe you just use it. Use it because we have it. And it's so damn luxurious. And then coming up. Make your way onto your hands if you weren't there. Bring your right foot back to meet your left, hands and knees. Come on into a downward facing dog. And let's do the other side. Lift your left leg up. Bring it through, low lunge. Back foot flat. Warrior one. Clasp your hands behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Pull that fist down. Open up your heart. Maybe lift your chin. Open your throat. Down. Left shoulder inside of your left knee. Hands come off your back. Breathe. Maybe bring your left hip in a little if it's jutting way far out. And then rise back up. Open up. Warrior two. Straighten your left leg. Triangle. There's your left hand. Look up and check that out. And keep your head there or change position if it doesn't feel good. Using your breath. Rise back up. Warrior two, extended side angle. And runner's lunge. Torso down, right knee down, toe heel, your left toes up, and allow your torso to sink. We hold stress in our bodies. And when we begin to open our bodies and shift the energy around, sometimes those things come to the surface. So be with what shows up. Be kind to yourself. Acknowledge the stresses. Acknowledge the tensions in your life. If a little bit of tears are coming up, then okay, that's all right too, yeah? Breathe. There's a lot of polarity in our world right now. A lot. Like I'd say way more than I've ever been aware of. I mean, and it's always been there, right? There's always, you go to the supermarket and there are people who are standing right next to you buying their groceries, and you might even have a pleasant conversation with them. Oh, no, I can't find any ripe avocados, can you? And if you were to get into a deeper conversation, you might find out that they have the exact opposite political opinion as you do. But we wouldn't know that. We just had a little conversation about avocados, and that's that. But now, you know, with people wearing masks or not wearing masks or whatever it is, right? It's just a lot more on the surface, and that's tense. So, okay. I'm not inviting you to get more stressed out right now, but I am inviting you to acknowledge it. Okay, come on up. Come onto your hands and knees. And come into child's pose. We don't always have to take the hard route. It's okay to be resting in child's pose right now, I promise. It's okay. From child's pose, slide forward onto your belly. Bend your knees. Actually, not yet. Turn your head to one side. Let's continue having a little bit of rest. Arms alongside your body, palms up. Breathe, resist the urge to be distracted by how dirty your floor is. Just feel your body on the mat. Notice the parts of your body that are touching the floor. Notice the parts of your body that are touching your clothing or other parts of your body. So a lot of your body is touching your clothing, right? Bring your awareness to where you can notice that. And now let's do both. So bring your chin or your forehead to the mat, bend your knees, and grab your feet from the outside. And when you're ready, lift. Everything. Everything as high as feels right to you right now. Take a few breaths here. They don't have to be super deep, but inhales and exhales. Release. Turn your head opposite side, arms alongside your body, palms up. And with, I don't know if you guys can hear me, I'm going to sit up here with emotional tension. Sometimes comes a little bit of tiredness, a little bit of exhaustion even. Okay? Turn your head back to the center, and let's come into pigeon. So you can push up on your hands and knees again, and slide your right knee forward. Maybe walk your left knee back, and then walk your body down, pigeon pose. Another hip opener. But it's not just your hip, right? There's that whole big region of your glutes and your thigh. So just opening and feeling. Let your head rest. Let your brain drop. Be heavy. Soften, 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 soften. Melt. Melt into your mat.
I'm still here. I'm just giving you some space. So beginning to come into that meditative state that I talked about at the beginning, creating space. Not quite there yet, but if this hasn't been a moving meditation yet, allow it to begin to become one now. Come on up. Sit onto your right hip. Janu Shirshasana. Swing your left foot around. Bring it out in front of you and bring the sole of your right foot to your inner left thigh. Lift your arms up lift your arms up and kind of turn your torso over your left leg and bow forward. Try to lengthen whatever you can. You don't have to grab onto your foot. Maybe though you can, not maybe though, certainly, you can lengthen the crown of your head towards your foot. Even if it doesn't look like much, you can try. You can get that length. So all of our bodies benefit by trying. It just looks different person to person based on our bone structure, our fitness level, etc. Sit up, pigeon on the other side. So bend your left knee. Bring your right leg back behind you and make your way into pigeon. As always, allowing this side to be different than the other side, be as it is, not as that one was. And once again, I'm here. When I'm doing a practice and the teacher is talking a lot and there's not music and then the teacher's quiet, I'm like, wait, did my video stop? So I'm here. I'm just going to be quiet to give you a few breaths. I wish you guys, maybe you even can. My dog is sleeping on the couch, which is just behind my computer, and he's breathing very deeply. I would like you guys to be breathing as deeply as my dog. Supporting your head if it's not on the ground. Soften and melt, soften and melt, melt, melt like an ice cube on one of these hot days we've been having. And then sitting up. Janu Shirshasana. Right leg out, left foot on the inner right thigh. Inhale up over your right leg and come down. It's kind of funny that I was having a difficulty pronouncing that because some people, it's spelled just with an S, not an SH. And some people say Shirshasana and some people say Sirsasana. And it seems to be I don't know, almost like a different school that you come from or whatever. Anyway. Reaching the crown of your head forward, grabbing onto your foot or your ankle or your thigh, whatever's available. And then come on up. And good. We got 5
So roll down onto your back if you want. Or if you have time to do Shavasana after this, maybe stay in a seated position. And you can do, I'm going to sit on a block. You can do this meditation on your back in Shavasana or seated. And it's going to be a silent meditation. So it's actually just turned 56, and I want to honor your time. So I'm going to set my timer here for 4 minutes, which will get us just to 1 o'clock, and I'm going to be quiet. So know that I am guarding the time for you, and allow yourself 3 and a bit minutes quiet and try to focus on your breath. And when your mind wanders, because it will, because that's what minds do, come back to your breath. Resisting the urge to wiggle around. That's what the practice is for. Release. Turning to the breath when your mind wanders. One more minute of meditation. And that's it for our time together today. If you have not been laying on your back in Shavasana and you have a moment or two to be able to do that, I invite you to do so. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on the mat today. Namaste. I will be here next Wednesday, same time. Join me.